Okay, I thought I'd just get on with the top wing just to get this bit done, because I wasn't sure how much work was involved in this wing, but it's worked out a lot easier than I expected. I just thinned down the tread edges a little bit. It wasn't difficult to do at all. I've just put the tapes on the top of the wing. I'm not bothering with the bottom. So I've just stuck it on 2 cocktail sticks so I can paint it. So I'm just going to spray that silver, get that deckled up, and the top wing's done then, so I can then get on with the rest of it. So let's get that done now. Okay, I'm kind of multitasking with this model now, flitting between bits of detail all over the place, but basically the wing's now painted. I didn't put the rib tapes on the bottom of the wing, I just I thought it was enough to put them on top. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that result. 2 coats, but that's gloss varnish, but you can't tell because unless you lay it on really thick, it doesn't necessarily dry that glossy to start with. But it's perfectly good for putting the decals on now. So that's the next job. So these are the decals. Huge. I mean, in the design office they must have said, how big do you want the decals to be? And they've make them big as possible, fill the whole wing. So that's what we're going to do. So they're going on first on each side, and then obviously this big green thing in the middle. So it'd be better to put both decals on and then centre this up so it's between the 2 decals. So that's what we'll do now. Whoops. Okay, wings got the decals on. Gone down quite well. This middle one's not as easy as you think to put on. It's quite long and thin, and it tends to stretch as you kind of manipulating it into little gaps and grooves and things. It tends to get a bit longer or wiggles out of place. I ended up kind of cutting it halfway down and just overlapping it a little bit just so that these were uniform when they're on the wing. But yeah, it's gone down fine. Just needs I need to let it dry a little bit, and it's also got some bits of furniture to go on, like there's like a gun camera which is like an upside down Lewis gun on there, and little bits and bobs. So I'm going to put those on first, and then I'll give the whole thing a coat of satin varnish. But yeah, that's that. Okay, these are the little gun barrels that stick out on the side of the fuselage. I'm going to fit these on. Now then, if you look at them, they're a bit boring, aren't they? Because they're just basically bits of plastic with some little tiny moulded in holes. There's no channel down the end of it, which I can't expect Airfix to do that. So to do this, I'm just going to drill them out. So what I'll try and do it on camera. You basically need to cut the end off first, because you can't get, there's no way on earth you get a drill bit to engage with that shape there, because it's got a curve on it. So just cut the end off it, like so. So we've now got a relatively flat surface, and then you need to get a very small drill bit. Not sure what the size of this one is. I don't know, small. Where's it gone? And then just start twiddling at that and try and get it in the middle. I know it's only a small detail, but I'm of the opinion with model making that it's the little details that make the difference. At least I think it does. Just on photographs, when you finish the model and then photograph it in an environment that looks realistic to the model itself, these sort of little bits it's going to show on a photograph. So it's now got a bit of a hole in there. I want that to go further through it though. So I'll do my best to try and do this thing if I can. This is one of the reasons I mentioned maybe before that I prefer larger scales. Like people that build 72nd scale models and 48s and stuff, whatever the motivation for doing that, it's probably, I don't know, people like to collect certain scales. It's certainly better for space. I mean, you can collect more of them and store them easier and things. But anybody that can build a 48th and 72nd scale model well, I admire them immensely, because it's harder to do. The bigger the scale, the more opportunity you have to to do this sort of thing without. It's just a more difficult thing to do, and as 48th is not my thing really. I just wanted to try this kit, but I'm quite enjoying it. But if this was 32nd or 24th, I mean, it'd be so much easier. And I'll just switch into a even smaller drill. No, I'm not. That is the smaller drill. Got to be careful with these. These are the ones you get from eBay. They're only pennies. They're like £5 if I can get them less than that. But they do break if you're not careful. So I'm just going to drill through the sides. This is like a muzzle. The barrel will be disappeared down there somewhere, but this is just the end of the muzzle, if you like. I'm just going to drill through there. Go. So I should end up with. They are moulded in actually. I'm just going to drill them out. I'm just drilling until I go through into the hole I've already made. Going right through that one, which is good. Just one more. So I've now got holes right through it, and then I'll go through that again. So what I do now is, you can't sand that, that's impossible to sand, as I might have done before. I get a bit of cement on there, and that melts all the little flashy bits. So you end up with, in theory, you should end up with a little neat little hole. I don't know if it'll show, but that's just how it is. So yeah, that's the muzzle. I've done 2 of those now, so they'll need painting black, and that bit fits this on the other side of this one, but goes in there. So that's the plan. So it needs painted up. So I've now got to add all the bits and pieces that go on top of this fuselage here. So there's I think it's part of the antenna array that goes across. I might be wrong. I've got to paint up the little leather crash pad thing that goes on the rim of the cockpit there. I've got to add the canopy, the gun sight, and something else. I can't remember what it is. Also, there's a fuel filler cap. Oh, not sure if there's a fuel filler. I took it off when I foiled this because it got in the way. So I have to fabricate one of those as well. So there's quite a lot of little pieces to go on top of here before I can actually add the struts and then start putting the wing on and stuff. So I'm going to start doing that now. I've painted the undercarriage. This is basically didn't bother masking off the foil because there's just a quirk of, well, it's not a quirk, it's not a good thing I suppose, but the paint just scratches off it, so you can just paint over it and then just scratch it off, which is yeah, quite a novel thing I suppose. When you want it to stay put, if you lacquer it well enough, it stays there. So there we go. Okay, things have progressed a little bit. Got all the furniture on the top of the, well, as much as I'm going to put on there anyway. I've got the aerial support wires that go on there. That's the little gun sight. That's the front of the gun sight, I think. And I've put all the spars on. Well, not spars, what do I call them? Struts. Yeah, it's been a long day. So I can put the wing on now, basically. But what I'm thinking of doing is perhaps trying to put some of the rigging on first. So we'll see. I've kind of dry fitted these things. So I've also had an experiment with the rigging. This is some easy line rigging I've done. So you can see it. Can you see it there? That's just a little bit that goes on the undercarriage. It's quite easy to do actually. I know people seem to get stressed out about rigging, but I quite like this stuff. And it involves using some Sino kicker, which is this stuff, which makes it super glue dry really quickly. And the easy line, which is it allegedly it'll stretch 6 times its normal length, which it does. So you have to put it on quite small and then stretch it, which gets all the sag out of it and everything. So yeah, so that's quite good, that going quite well. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to experiment a little bit before I go any further and decide where the rig is going to go, and if I can put some on before I put the top wing on. So I've got the top wing done there and all sprayed up and ready to go. It's progressing quite well as this kit now. It's there's not a right lot to do with it really, apart from get the wing on, put all the twiddly bits on, and then get the rigging done. And then it's a case of getting the wheels on, propeller. That's it really. There's not much more. So let's get cracking with that. So I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, we're back. Right, the wing's on. As I may have mentioned already, I've started doing the rigging with Easy Line, as I've mentioned before as well probably. It's working out quite well. I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration in the next part. I've also given the whole model a bit of a wash because it looked a bit stark. The silver looked a bit in your face and stark, and as much as they were well looked after, these planes, because they never saw any action, they were just service aircraft in the RAF. They would have looked a little bit kind of, I don't know, not perfect I suppose. So I've just given the whole thing a bath in this stuff, which is Tamiya accent panel liner. Just brushed it on and then wiped it all off, and I quite like it. It's got like a titanium look to it now, but it's kind of done its thing really. I quite like it. So there you go. So yeah, I'm going to do it. Next bit's going to be rigging and how I do that. Okay, this is a spinner, aluminium spinner with like a metal threaded thing through the middle of it. I can't foil that, and I want it to be shiny aluminium, so I'm going to make it out of this, which is a piece of my wife's crochet hook. She doesn't want. Lathes arrived, so I'm going to give it a go, so let's see how it goes. Oh well, there we go, a couple of hours. I'm quite happy with that. Looks nice and shiny. Excuse me. So yeah, that goes on there like that. So one shiny aluminium spinner. Quite pleased with that. Please excuse my wife defrosting the freezer. So yeah, next is to paint up the rest of it. Put some copper strips on the leading edges and things like that. Good. Okay, bit of rigging. So what I'm going to do is put one piece of rigging from that point there, excuse my compressor, to that point just there. So I hope it looks simple when I do it. Super glue, a little bit on a post-it note. So a little bit on there. That's enough. Now then, Easy Line, I've got a piece here, and what I've done with that, I've bathed it in some activator. Now the hard part is keeping hold of it. And the hard part's doing this on camera. So, I'm trying to find the end of it. And just touch it on there like that. And that's grabbed because it's got activator on it. I've put it in this little jar with activator on it, and it's now, it should have got hold of it. See? So that's too long, is that? It wants to be at least half the length of that. I would say less. So what I do now, where's my scissors gone? I would say half the length it needs to be on the actual model, and then get hold of the other end, having put some super glue on it of course. and then touch it to the same place. Ah, yeah, bugger. It's pinged off. Try again. Try a bit more super glue on that. I hope it grabs. In this case it's not doing. It's sticking to my tweezers quite well. Just got to hold it and hope for best, really. Whew! There we go. So you see it there. So that's basically what you got to do. Be patient and just keep doing them. Fun, huh? Right, I'll get on with it and do the rest. I've noticed, if you look at photographs of these this aircraft, the rigging's not all the same stuff. Some of it's tension wires, some of it's control cable, some actual look like very kind of inflexible lines going to various places. There's definitely these on the undercarriage underneath are much thicker than that, and there are more as well. But I'm not going to go over the top on it. I'm just going to put the rigging on that's there and call it a day at that, really. I'm not going to go mad on that. It's hard enough doing the rigging in the first place, so if I was... This model's okay to me, but it's not my scale. 1/48 scale. It's never going to be my scale. I don't like it. It's too small for me. So as much as I want to finish the model off, I'm not putting as much detail into this model as I would if it was a 32nd or a 1/24. And I think this is sufficient for this scale anyway, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, rigging. I'm just going to do the final part now. Now this is the last bit, and it's quite an easy bit to do. Bit of super glue on there. These are line. Now this bit goes from the fin to the two pegs on the. I'm going to glue that onto there like that, and just hold it for a minute. This easy line is incredibly difficult to use. This model has driven me to distraction once I started to try and rig it. I managed to do it, but I'm never going to do another 48 scale biplane ever again. It has driven me crazy as this thing. I think with practice, I suppose it would become easier, but I don't have the will to do anymore with it. It's just horrible. It's like trying to herd cats on a foggy day in the dark. It's just horrible. It's never again will I do this. So I'm just doing this just to get it done now. Put that on the wrong bit now. So if I put that on there like that. But this easy line's weird stuff. It's like as soon as you put Signer near it, it shrivels up. And kind of refuses to do anything. It just curls up in a ball at the end. It's really strange. And it pings off at one end and then pings off at the other, and it's like, I don't know. It's if I was going to do this again, I would use something else. and I would make fittings for the ends. And try and do it that way, so that you could make an individual line for each part. It would take a lot longer to do, but it would probably it wouldn't drive you as crazy. Because now it's like a fly's wing is this model. It is so fragile. You only have to look at the thing and something breaks off or falls off, or when the rigging's not bad. If it's attached reasonably okay, it's quite springy, but you can't touch anything because it's just covered in the stuff. I'll try and zoom out again. It's everywhere. I broke a couple of pieces off. I broke a piece off on that side and I broke a bit off on there. When I've got the will to have another go at it, I'll put those two bits back on. But this is the antenna array, and then this bit, I now have to put a piece of rigging from there to two central points here. Let's just make this thing impossible to clean, dust, to do anything with whatsoever. It is nuts. So they went quite well, did those two pieces that I just did, because you can get to them. You know, it's on the top of the wing, etc. So yeah, be mindful when you're building one of these biplanes, is that if you're going to rig it, it's a hell of a lot of work. It's a lot of challenge. It looks quite nice when it's done, but flipping out, man. I'm a pretty patient person. You can just look at the stuff I've done on my other videos. I've got quite a lot of patience, but this has tested mine to the limit. It really has. If I wasn't doing this for YouTube, I'd have just put this to one side now and I'd have just walked away from it, I think. So I suppose the YouTube bits made me finish it off, but God, never again. Anyway, I would do a biplane again, but not on this scale. I'd have to do it bigger because I'd make the rigging out of something else, like I'd use wire or something, and I'd have fittings on the ends and do it that way. So I'm going to finish that bit off. The next stage, I've got to do the wheels, and I've got to do the spinner and the propeller, and then it's done. So back in a bit. Okay, wheels are done. I did my best to match the green. It's not a perfect match, but it's not far off. I've weathered them up a little bit. I've not weathered them, I've just given them a bit of I don't know, I've put a bit of pastel on there, black pastel, and then I've put a bit of Tamiya paddle liner on just to give them a bit of definition on the edgy bits. I haven't put the Airfix decal on though, so I didn't think it needed it really, and I've never seen one with that chrome decal around it, to be fair, so I just don't think it was necessary. I did them green on both sides, just for simplicity, but I think usually they're normally a different colour on the inside, but I'm not bothered. But yeah, quite happy with those. They're done. So the only thing to do now is the spinner, or the propeller, sorry. So that's next. Okay, I got it masked up. Took quite a bit of doing just to mask it. It's quite a strange shape. So I'm going to paint it black now. Okay, I'm going to call this Bulldog done. I've done it as much as I can do it, I think. Propeller's done. Wheels falling off because I haven't glued them on. They're really gluing on really, they just push on, okay. I'll throw some still pictures of it up at the end. My opinion of the kit is, if you like this scale, it's very good. I can complain about some of it, but as on the whole, it's a very good kit, and it's got a lot of potential. Propeller's not glued on either. But if I'm honest, I don't like the scale of it. It's just, I shouldn't have built it really for mine. I built it because I wanted to have a go at a smaller scale to see how I got on with it. And I enjoyed it right up to the point where I had to start doing the rigging. And the rigging drove me insane. I've got to say, I didn't enjoy it from that point onwards. I started to resent the kit because I just don't like the rigging. It's horrible to do, and that's probably down to me being lacking experience in doing it, because I haven't rigged a lot of models. I've done one. I've done a 32nd scale tiger moth, and that was a lot easier to do because it's bigger, and I also use wire. If I was going to rig this again, I certainly wouldn't use Easyline. I found it really frustrating to use, and I would use something that was, I'd cut to a length and then fit it to the 2 points at a length that held its own tension, if you like. It didn't rely on rubber like this. If it hadn't been rigged, I think I'd have got on with it a lot more. I would have put a bit more effort into finishing it off, I think, but the rigging just killed any interest in this model for me. So in me and biplanes probably don't get on. They might in the future if I built a bigger one. And I keep going on about this scale thing, don't I? I'm not criticising people for building this scale. I have got every respect for people that build 48 scale models to a high standard, because it's harder to do. 72nd's even harder. I feel like I'm cheating building bigger scales, because it is an easier thing to do. I'm going to have to glue that wheel on, aren't I? But and again, the rigging as well, it's so fragile. I mean, it's starting to break. See it's broken there. That's come off. If I had more time, in fact I probably will. I'm not going to, I'm sounding very negative about this model, but I like the model, and I like the way that it goes together, and I like the engine detail and all that stuff, but the rigging has just spoilt it. When I'm feeling a little bit less resentful of the whole process of the rigging, I might take it all off and think of a better way of doing it. And I think it's not me, it's not the model that's bad, it's me doing the rigging that spoils it for me. Other than that, I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot from doing it, because adding more detail to the wing, with adding rib tapes in there with the file, that's worked really well as that. I'm quite pleased how that works out, and that's helped me out, because when I do the Spitfire build, which is I mean, talk about bigger, when I'm going to do the rudder and the elevator, that's a fabric covered rudder and elevator, and the tapes on that are quite limited, so I'm going to use the foil technique that I've learned from this on the Spitfire, which is great, because I didn't have to, I know how it works, so which has helped me out a great deal. And that's what this channel's all about. It's all about adventuring, it's all about experimenting and trying different things, isn't it? I'm not professing to be an expert at this by any means. I mean, this has shown my weakness big time. It really has. I mean, I've found I know what I like and what I don't like by doing this model, I think. So yeah, there you go. That's the Bulldog. That's the Airfix Bulldog. And if I'm very honest, I built this model because I wanted to just test the waters to see what people like to watch. Because as a YouTube channel, you've got to be careful not to start building things because you think other people like them. I've done that with other hobbies. I've done that, well, not hobbies, I've done that with other professions, if you like, with artwork and things. If you start making things to appeal to other people that you don't particularly like, it's a mistake, isn't it? So I've learned, don't build things you don't really want to build, because you won't build it as well because you don't like it. You don't put your heart and soul into something you don't particularly like. So I know now not to bother. So I will build exactly what I want to build, and if people don't want to watch it, that's fine. So that's what's going to happen. Coming up next is going to be the Spitfire. I'm going to continue building that. There's a lot of time to go into the Spitfire build. It's going to take a long time. The foiling's nearly done on it, but I'll bring that into. It's not relevant to this model, but I need to talk about it anyway. The foiling's nearly done on it. I need to finish the aileron on that side. I need to put the rudder and the elevator and all sort of stuff on there. And then I can start building the engine, so that's what's going to come up with this next. And once the Spitfire's done, I've got to do a choice then of what I'm going to do next. It's either going to be a Starfighter, F-104 Starfighter, or a Corsair. I'm considering one or both of them actually built in flight, because I quite like, particularly Starfighter, because it's a very, very long model. And I've built one before, and the undercarriage is quite fragile. And I think the plane just looks fantastic in flight, because it just looks fast, you know, just sat there like that. Anyway, digressing, that's what's going to happen. So that's the Bulldog that's the Bulldog build, as far as I'm concerned. I'll throw some pictures up of it at the end, and there we go, conclusion. Catch you later.